Welcome to US Briefing. The content of the briefing includes Ryder Cup 2023, who is in Team Europe and Team USA? Live politics latest news, UN Refugee Convention is out of date, Minister says. Vietnam is betraying its just energy transition partnership. Welcome to the latest and now very embarrassing era of Canada's foreign policy. Pipestone shareholders to vote on Strathcona Resources buyout offer. Ryder Cup 2023, who is in Team Europe and Team USA? Telegraph. Swedish golfer Ludvig Aberg will become the most inexperienced player in Ryder Cup history after being named as one of 6 wildcard picks by Team Europe captain Luke Donald. Aberg turned professional 4 months ago after leaving college. His selection comes after he beat his rival Matt Fitzpatrick to the European Masters title. Another wildcard pick, Fitzpatrick, qualified automatically for the Ryder Cup, finishing in a tie for third place. Scotland's Robert McIntyre also qualified automatically by finishing in a tie for 55th place. The 2 wildcard picks join the rest of Team Europe, which includes Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton, Victor Hovland, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Robert McIntyre. The Ryder Cup is scheduled to take place in September at the Marco Simone Golf and Country Club in Rome. Live politics latest news, UN Refugee Convention is out of date, Minister says. Telegraph. A Home Office minister has stated that the United Nations Refugee Convention is outdated and needs to be reviewed on an international basis. Chris Philp, the policing minister, argued that economic migrants were using the convention to choose the best country to claim asylum and that the convention was not originally designed for such purposes. Home Secretary Sala Braverman is expected to deliver a speech warning that up to 780 million people could be eligible to claim asylum unless global refugee rules are reformed. Vietnam is betraying its just energy transition partnership. Nikkei Asia. The wife of imprisoned Vietnamese environmental lawyer Dang Dinh Bach has called on U.S. President Joe Biden and other Group of 7, G7, leaders to help secure his release. Tran Phuong Thao said her husband was sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2021 after an unfair trial, having been charged with tax evasion. Phuong Thao said Bach and other Vietnamese climate leaders had called for the country to move away from coal and warned about the environmental impact of power plants. Welcome to the latest and now very embarrassing era of Canada's foreign policy. CBC. Canada's recent controversies with India and Russia highlight the need for the country to develop stronger diplomatic skills and navigate choppier international waters, according to experts. David Carmont, director of the School of Canadian Studies at Carleton University, suggests that Canada should invest more in diplomacy, place less emphasis on domestic politics in foreign affairs, and maintain independent positions. However, Roland Paris, a professor of public and international affairs at the University of Ottawa, warns that Canada is now more susceptible to outside forces and it is uncertain how future U.S. administrations would react to Canadian crises. Pipestone shareholders to vote on Strathcona Resources buyout offer. The Toronto Star. Shareholders of Pipestone Energy Corporation are set to vote on a proposed merger with Strathcona Resources Limited. The all-stock deal would create a combined company with an initial market capitalization of $8.6 billion and make Strathcona a publicly traded company. The merged company would become the 5th largest oil producer in Canada, with current production of approximately 185,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day. Pipestone's board supports the deal, but dissident shareholder GMT Capital Corporation opposes it, arguing that it undervalues Pipestone's shares. If approved, Pipestone shareholders would receive 9.05% of the equity in the merged company. Live Ukraine-Russia war latest, vehicles melted as Ukrainian port bombed. Telegraph. 2 people have been injured and dozens of vehicles damaged in a Russian attack on the port of Izmail, Ukraine. Footage of the strike shows a fireball engulfing the cargo terminal and firefighters later hosing down the remains of vehicles and containers. A port building, storage facilities, and over 30 trucks and cars were damaged in the attack. According to Ukraine's Air Force, Russia attacked with 38 kamikaze drones, of which 26 were shot down. On the same day, Russia targeted a warehouse at the Black Sea port of Odessa, killing 2 people. Researchers have verified 1,329 hunger deaths in Ethiopia's Tigray region since the ceasefire there. The Toronto Star. Researchers have confirmed that 1,329 people have died from hunger in Ethiopia's Tigray region since a ceasefire ended a 2-year conflict in November. The researchers found that hunger was the main cause of death in Tigray, accounting for over 68% of the deaths investigated. The number of deaths from all causes in the area studied rose sharply after the suspension of food aid by the US and UN following the discovery of a large-scale scheme to steal humanitarian grain. Tigray authorities have found that 7,000 metric tons of grain were stolen. Researchers have verified 1,329 hunger deaths in Ethiopia's Tigray region since the ceasefire there. Associated Press. A study conducted by local health authorities and Mekelle University has found that hunger is now the main cause of death in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region, following a 2-year conflict that ended in November 2020. The study, which was based on a household census conducted in 9 sub-districts of Tigray, revealed that hunger accounted for over 68% of deaths investigated by researchers. Hunger-related deaths have surged following the suspension of food aid by the United States and United Nations in response to the discovery of a large-scale scheme to steal humanitarian grain in Tigray. The US and the UN want the Ethiopian government to give up control of the food aid delivery system. The study's findings are described in a document prepared by the Tigray Emergency Coordination Center, a group comprising UN agencies, aid organizations, and regional government offices. Adele refers to herself as Rich Paul's wife during Las Vegas show, The Independent. There are rumors that Adele may have secretly married her partner, Rich Paul, after she referred to him as her husband during one of her Las Vegas residency concerts. Adele also mentioned her partner during a discussion about American football, implying that they are married. This follows previous speculation about their engagement when Adele wore a diamond ring at the Brit Awards. However, Adele denied being engaged and stated that she is simply a fan of high-end jewelry. Despite not confirming any marriage plans, Adele has expressed her love and happiness with Paul, stating that she has never been in love like this before. Fundraiser to help young boy access life-saving cancer treatment passes £200,000. The Independent. The parents of a 4-year-old boy with cancer have raised over £200,000, $276,000, for his treatment. Teddy Lichton has high-risk neuroblastoma, which had already spread to most of his body and 60% of his bone marrow when he was diagnosed in 2022. His parents began fundraising in February to pay for a potentially life-saving cancer vaccine in New York. Teddy's mother, Kat Lichton, said reaching the £200,000 milestone felt amazing and really exciting as it brought them closer to their target of £300,000. Teddy started school on Monday, which was a special moment for the family. What has gone wrong at Chelsea, and why all hope is not lost? Telegraph. Chelsea's poor start to the season can be attributed to several factors, according to an analysis by The Telegraph. The club's decision to focus on signing young players has resulted in a lack of experience and know-how, with players such as James Maddison and James Ward-Prowse being overlooked in favor of younger, less proven players. Mixed messages from the club's management have also caused confusion and disrupted team cohesion. Injuries have also played a major role, with 12 players ruled out at the start of the season and key players such as Christopher Nkunku and Carney Chukwuemeka suffering long-term injuries. The constant turnover of staff and management has further destabilized the club, with several coaches and technical staff leaving in recent months. Despite their poor start, Chelsea can take solace in the fact that their underlying data shows promise, with their expected goals rate outperforming their actual goals in all but one game this season. If the club can stay patient and address these issues, they have the potential to turn their season around. Step aside, Storm Shadow, Ukraine is getting an even more powerful missile. Telegraph. The US is set to send MGM-140 ATACMS missiles to Ukraine, after more than a year of Ukraine's President Zelensky pleading with the Biden administration. The ATACMS missile, equipped with a 500-pound warhead and blazingly fast, is ground-launched and better able to engage time-sensitive targets than the British Storm Shadow missile. The number of systems the US is prepared to hand over is unclear, as is the variant Ukraine will receive. The US still has a significant reserve of ATACMS missiles, although the majority are currently considered unserviceable. Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde finally settle custody battle. The Independent. Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde have reportedly settled their custody battle, with Sudeikis agreeing to pay $27,500 a month in child support. The settlement is based on Sudeikis' estimated 2023 income of $10.5 million and Wilde's estimated income of $500,000. The couple will also follow a week-on, week-off custody schedule for their children. Sudeikis and Wilde ended their relationship in 2020 after dating for 7 years. Wilde was later spotted with Harry Styles, but they split in November 2022. Despite their custody battle, Sudeikis and Wilde were recently seen together at their son's soccer game. Ukraine live briefing, Zelensky confirms arrival of first US-made M1 Abrams tanks. Washington Post. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that the first batch of US-made M1 Abrams tanks has arrived in Ukraine. The tanks will strengthen Ukraine's actions against the occupiers and provide significant reinforcement, according to Zelensky. President Biden had committed to sending 31 of the advanced battle tanks in January, with the deliveries expected to arrive gradually over the coming weeks. As of now, fewer than half of the expected tanks have arrived. In other news, a UN panel announced that some Ukrainian citizens have been tortured to death under Russian occupation. Well, folks, that's a wrap for today's news. We covered quite a range of topics, from golf to international diplomacy, and even some celebrity gossip. Let's dive into the highlights and offer some analysis. In sports news, we learned that Swedish golfer Ludvig Åberg will become the most inexperienced player in Ryder Cup history. It's quite an achievement for someone who turned professional just 4 months ago. Team Europe captain Luke Donald must have seen something special in Åberg to give him a wildcard pick. And let's not forget about the other wildcard pick, Matt Fitzpatrick, who qualified automatically for the Ryder Cup. Team Europe is shaping up to be a formidable force against Team USA. Speaking of international affairs, a Home Office minister in the UK has called for a review of the United Nations Refugee Convention. Chris Philp argues that economic migrants are taking advantage of the convention to choose the best country for asylum. It's a complex issue that requires careful consideration and collaboration on an international level. Home Secretary Sala Braverman will deliver a speech warning about the potential scale of asylum claims if the rules are not reformed. It's clear that the current system is facing challenges and needs to be adapted to address the evolving needs of displaced individuals. Moving on to Vietnam, the wife of imprisoned environmental lawyer Dang Dinh Bach is calling on world leaders, including US President Joe Biden, to help secure his release. Bach was sentenced to 5 years in prison after an unfair trial, and his wife believes he was targeted for his advocacy against coal and the environmental impact of power plants. It's a plea for justice and an important reminder of the risks faced by activists around the world. In Canada, recent controversies with India and Russia have highlighted the need for stronger diplomatic skills. Experts suggest that Canada should invest more in diplomacy, place less emphasis on domestic politics in foreign affairs, and maintain independent positions. It's a timely reminder that navigating international waters requires finesse and a clear understanding of the global landscape. Let's hope Canada takes this opportunity to strengthen its diplomatic efforts. In Ukraine, tensions continue to escalate as Russia bombed the port of Izmail, causing damage to vehicles and infrastructure. The attack, which involved kamikaze drones, is another tragic development in the ongoing conflict between the two countries. It's a stark reminder of the human cost of war and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. Shifting gears to Ethiopia, researchers have verified that hunger is the main cause of death in the Tigray region. Since the ceasefire in November, over 1,300 people have died from hunger, accounting for more than 2/3 of the deaths investigated. The suspension of food aid following the discovery of a grain-stealing scheme has exacerbated the crisis, leaving thousands vulnerable to hunger and starvation. It's a devastating situation that demands immediate attention and action from the international community. On a lighter note, there's some speculation about Adele secretly marrying her partner, Rich Paul. During one of her Las Vegas shows, Adele referred to Paul as her husband, sparking rumors of a secret wedding. While Adele has denied being engaged, she has expressed her love and happiness with Paul. Whether they're married or not, it's clear that Adele is enjoying a blissful romance. In heartwarming news, the parents of a 4-year-old boy with cancer have raised over £200,000 for his treatment. Teddy Lichton was diagnosed with high-risk neuroblastoma, and his parents have been fundraising to pay for a potentially life-saving cancer vaccine. Reaching the £200,000 milestone is a significant achievement and brings them one step closer to their fundraising goal. Teddy's parents are grateful for the support they've received and are hopeful for his future. And finally, let's touch on the world of sports once again. Chelsea's poor start to the season has been attributed to various factors, including a focus on signing young players, mixed messages from the management, and injuries to key players. Despite their struggles, there's hope for Chelsea as their underlying data shows promise. If they can address these issues and stay patient, they have the potential to turn their season around. Well, there you have it, folks. We covered a lot of ground today, from sports to politics, and everything in between. I hope you enjoyed our journey through the latest news. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any burning questions? Let's hear what you have to say. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.